You have traveled the vast plains of the multiverse and arrived at Spaventoso's Speculation, where we have another 15 commander cards you should be buying and maybe playing if you don't want to make friends. Starting off our list with number 1, Blatant Thievery. 4 and 3 blue for a sorcery each. For each opponent, gain control of target permanent that player controls. A while back, a couple years ago, this card spiked. It's back down to between $2-3. I think if you don't have any of these, you should pick up a couple of copies because only 0.76% of players utilize this card. I like the flavor text on it too. I'll leave subtlety to the rich. If we take a look at some of the commanders which are making most use out of this, we will find a couple of blue commanders, but a lot of multicolored, 3-colored commanders as well. I think the 3 blue is a little tough to hit in maybe 4 or 5 colors, but 3 color commander might be the sweet spot here. Card number 2, we have an artifact, Damping Engine. For 4 colorless, you get an artifact that says, a player who controls more permanents than any other player cannot play lands or artifact, creature, or enchantment spells. That player may sacrifice a permanent to ignore this effect until end of turn. Under $1. Card is rising a little bit now, using 0.01% of decks. And I think it'd be in a good home in like a Staxy sort of deck. You're hoping that players might make bad decisions on what they sacrifice, and that your deck has plenty of things to sacrifice in order to ignore the effect. Here are some of the commanders that utilize it. It's a wide range of commanders, not just artifact decks. Grand Arbiter, Yorlock, yeah, all sorts of great decks use this card. And for $100, I think you should pick some up, especially since it's an older card. The price might rise in the future. Card number 3, Call to the Grave. 4 and a black for an enchantment. At the beginning of each player's upkeep, that player sacrifices a non-zombie creature. At the beginning of the end step, if no creatures are on the battlefield, sacrifice Call to the Grave. It's $1.50 or so. Looks like there was some interest in it a couple years ago. Used in 0.20% of decks. The foil is a little pricey, so I'd stick to the non-foil version. It's great for zombie themes, but also for black if you just want to have a consistent way to force players to sacrifice creatures. Some of the commanders are zombie-centric. A lot of blue-black commanders, though, as well. And I can Glissa the Trader even, Zombie Elf, black-green. Pick this up. Another zombie commander is definitely going to be coming out, so grab them while they're cheap. Card number 4, Called to the Void. 4 and a black for sorcery. Each player secretly chooses a creature they control and a creature they don't control. Then those choices are revealed. Destroy each creature chosen this way. 25-cent average for a rare is pretty cheap. Even the foil version, 25 cents. Probably pick up a couple of these myself, using 0.05% of decks. Anytime players make choices, since you're the one casting the card, you're familiar with the card, you've played it before, you're hoping that they make poor choices. It's another great card. You can also use your politicking skills. Secretly is, I don't know how tough that is to actually enforce, or if a judge would enforce that aspect of the card. But yeah, definitely would play into the politicking side of Commander, and so you should pick it up. Some of the commanders that do utilize this are here. Golem, Scheming Guide, Kenrith, the Returned King, all sorts of commanders here. 2 color, 3 color, and moving on to card number 5, Camouflage. Now I should probably read the Oracle text on here, but for 1 green, you can rearrange your attacking creatures and place them face down, revealing which is which only after defense is chosen. If the results are an impossible block, such as non-flying creatures blocking flying creatures, illegal blockers cannot block this turn. And the card spiked a while back. It's dipped back down to between $5 and $10, probably for pretty clean copies using 0.01% of decks. I think this is underutilized in order to try and sneak some of your attackers in, especially if you have a bunch of tokens and maybe some large beaters to go along with it. Your opponent is just kind of gambling on which is which. And since this card is dipped back down, I think now is a good time to pick some up. Looking at the commander list that utilize this, bunch of 5-color, 4-color, 3-color commanders, a couple of 2 colors, but I think any green deck will have a green mana to spare, and they'd be happy to maybe sacrifice a bunch of their tokens just to try and sneak some of their bigger creatures through. Card number 6, sticking with the theme of not making friends by playing certain commander cards, we have Chaos Moon, 3 and a red. A while back it did spike to over $1. It's back down to under $1. Again, read the Oracle text on this, but basically during each player's upkeep, count the number of permanents. If the number is odd, all red creatures get +1/+1, and mountains produce an additional red when tapped for mana until end of turn. If the number is even, all red creatures get -1/-1, and mountains produce colorless mana instead of their normal mana until end of turn. This is definitely going to cause some confusion on the board. Might make some turns better, some turns worse, or clear out a lot of small red creatures using 0.02% of decks. And Ice Age is a pretty old set, so if you can grab some cards from back then for under $1, it might be good. And then in a couple of years, when the cards go up, you will have copies and not have to worry about picking any up. Or if somebody finds some way to abuse this anymore, here's some of the commanders that like to play it. Bunch of mono red commanders, but also red and black commanders, because they like to punish their opponents as well. And I think maybe in some goblin decks where you have some goblin lords that are already pumping your goblins and you won't really have to worry too much about the -1/-1 side, that might be where it fits in best. Card number 9, Coercive Portal. It is probably between $6 and $7. For some reason in 2022 it went up to over about $30, between $20 and $30, used in 0.16% of decks. For 4 colorless mana, you get an artifact, Will of the Council. At the beginning of your upkeep, starting with you, each player votes for Carnage or Homage. If Carnage gets more votes, sacrifice Coercive Portal and destroy all non-land permanents. If Homage gets more votes or the vote is tied, draw a card. This deck's gonna cause a lot of people to either want to get rid of this immediately or just let you keep drawing cards. And if you play some of these commanders, you might be able to make best use out of it. Kenrith the Returned King has been on this list quite a bit today. Also Queen Marchesa, Joda the Unifier, Obeka Splitter of Seconds. Lots of popular commanders trying this card out. Maybe some commanders that have a lot of the Council's Dilemma or voting, or if you have a commander theme where you force votes, that might be a best home for this card. But since it's as cheap as it's been in a while, I suggest picking it up. Card number 10, Consuming Tide, 2 and 2 blue, or sorcery. Each player chooses a non-land permanent they control. Return all non-land permanents not chosen this way to their owner's hands. Then you draw a card for each opponent who has more cards in their hand than you. Foil for 55 cents. I think that's the one I'd be targeting. Used in 0.94% of decks, which is a good amount. It's kind of like maybe a poor man's Cyclonic Rift. And yeah, I'd be targeting the foil, picking up a couple copies. The 2 blue might be a little tough to hit, but some of these commanders are making the best use out of it. A lot of 2-color decks, a couple of mono blue, some partner commanders. I think the best use out of this is maybe have your commander on the board and then cast this and leave your commander, or have a big beefy dude sitting on the board and return all the non-land permanents. And card 11, Creeping Dread. 3 and a black enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, each player discards a card. Each opponent who discarded a card that shares a card type with the card you discarded loses 3 life. Players reveal the discarded cards simultaneously. Foil, 57 cents. Average price about 25 cents. Used in 0.13% of decks. This is an enchantment that consistently forces players to discard cards. If you are utilizing it along with other discard strategies, players aren't going to have a lot of cards in their hands. Maybe even you have a card that you can reveal their hands, or you saw their hand first so you know what card to discard. If you look at the commanders, a lot of mono black, Tiny Bones, Tigrid, God of Fright, both the Tiny Bones. Torok, Dread Cantor, I think I like this in especially. Yeah, this is not going to be a card to make you a lot of friends, but that's not what this list is for. Card number 12, Curse of Exhaustion. Used in 0.38% of decks. It's going up in price. Average price about 40 cents. The foil, $3 for a card printed in 2012. I don't think it's that bad if you can find a clean copy. But for 2 and 2 white, you get an enchantment or a curse, which you enchant a player, and that player can't cast more than 1 spell each turn. Now, I'm not saying to put this on the blue player, but there might have been a player that you need to get some revenge on for a past game, and this would be the card to do that. Here are some of the commanders that are utilizing it, and some new commanders are utilizing this, so the card price might be going up a little bit, but there's plenty of white decks that can slot this in. White-green might be a good choice. I'm not sure. That double white in a 3 or 4 color deck might be a little tough to hit. But even an enchantment deck where you might be able to recur the enchantment after that player's already removed it, I think it might find a home there as well. Card number 13, another curse. Curse of Echoes. This one's going up. The foil is about $1.50. The average 55 cents. For 4 and a blue, you get an enchantment or a curse. Enchant player. Whenever enchanted player casts an instant or sorcery spell, each other player may copy that spell and may choose new targets for the copy he or she controls. Used in 0.29% of decks. This is going to cause some chaos around the board. Definitely ample opportunity for politicking to try and persuade people when and how to cast their copies. And we can look at the commanders. The top commanders are all mostly multicolored commanders here. Zur the Enchanter, I like this in. Braid's Conjurer, Adept as well. Lots of players utilizing this. 64% in one of these commanders here. But I think a lot of blue decks can find some space here, especially if you have a couple of spare counterspells for anyone who tries to sling their copies back at you. Almost at the end of the list here. Number 14, Curse of the Nightly Hunt. Foil, 76 cents. The average, 25 cents. 0.23% of decks for this enchantment or a curse. It costs 2 and a red. You enchant a player. Creature's enchanted player controls attack each combat if able. It's going to make a player have to swing, maybe at you, but maybe you're prepared for that. But also it will allow an opportunity for attack backs. If they don't have vigilance, they will be mostly tapped out, and hopefully the other players will take opportunity of this as well and quickly eliminate that player. Here are the commanders that utilize it. A lot of multicolored commanders. A couple of a couple of mono red commanders. I think red might be the best for this. Maybe red black. You just do have to be prepared to have a target on your chest, especially from that player that you cursed. And the last card on our list today is Cyclone. Now, this is the Arabian Nights version. I think there might be a Chronicles version or a white bordered version that is cheaper. So look to pick up some clean copies of this, not the black bordered one, for about 50 cents. Houston 0.01% of decks. It's an enchantment. Then you put a counter on Cyclone each round during your upkeep. Then you pay green for each counter, or you discard Cyclone. If it's not discarded, so if you pay the upkeep, it does 1 damage per counter to each player and each creature in play. You're playing green, you're probably ramping anyway and have a lot of extra green mana. This is going to clear the board over the course of a couple of turns, and then when you don't want it around anymore, when you're ready to dump your hand full of creatures and everyone else's board is empty, you can just not pay the upkeep. The commanders that are utilizing this, lots of mono green. I think that's probably the best home for it, but also Cloithus, God of Destiny. I like it in that deck, and Kamal, Fist of Karosa as well. Dosin, the Falling Leaf. Lots of fun decks where this card can fit in your commander deck. Our list for today of 15 more commander cards that you should be buying and maybe playing, especially if you don't mind not making friends, or if you have a close-knit play group where everyone likes to play hate spells on each other, and you know it's not going to be a big deal. Thanks for watching, and here is the cheat sheet. If you've seen my videos before and you didn't want to listen to me talk, you can just skip to the end. There's a cheat sheet.